Kick off your shoes and pick up a controller? Today, I want to show you my top 20 games from Indie Assemble. Indie Assemble was a week-long celebration of indie gaming that took place on Steam from May 5th to May 11th. There were tons of demos and games at deep discount prices. I played a lot of demos and want to tell you about my favorite ones so that you can look forward to some amazing releases. Starting at number 20, Anomalistic Revolution. Developed by Umi Game Studios, Anomalistic Revolution is a story-rich, narrative game set in a surreal city. You develop the ultimate software. It can provide the correct answer to any question, provided you supply it with enough information. In order to test this software, you try to solve the city's most prominent mystery. However, it doesn't quite go according to plan as you find yourself involved with nightmarish entities and corporate conspiracies. This game reminds me a little bit of Disco Elysium, mixed in with a bit of Danganronpa and maybe Undertale. One of the big selling points is that your character and story are shaped based on your dialogue selections. As you play, you gain and lose various traits that determine your dialogue options, and affect how you interact with the world around you. I also like this art style. The animations are both fluid and trippy, which kind of adds to the surreal vibes. Plus, the character portraits during cutscenes are so colorful and creative, it enhances their expressions and complements the feel of the game. It has a branching narrative with multiple endings, so its replayability is high. Plus, the demo alone made me want to replay it a few times to see if things would shake out differently. The story is pretty good, and the demo ends on a cliffhanger that had me wanting more. If you're a fan of visual novels, or heavily story-driven games, give this one a try. If those types of games are not your jam, then maybe skip this one. Number 19. Neon Inferno. Developed by Zenobia Interactive, Neon Inferno is a 2D run-and-gun side-scroller shooter. Play as one of two assassins for a crime syndicate in a futuristic, cyberpunk version of New York City in the year 2054. Run, gun, duck, deflect, and dodge while hunting down your targets through this dystopian and stylish cityscape. I like this game for a number of reasons, first and foremost, the graphics. It's a perfect blend of retro sprites, but with a modern finish to them, so they look crisp. Gameplay-wise, it's a fresh, fun take on the typical side-scroller and run-and-gun genres. In Neon Inferno, not only do you shoot enemies in the foreground, but in select sections you can also shoot into the background, which mixes things up a bit. Also, there are a lot of mechanics in this game. In addition to dodging, you can also deflect bullets back at your enemies. Not only that, but you can also enter a sort of bullet time and guide the deflected projectiles anywhere else on the screen for massive damage. And while it wasn't present in the demo, the store page mentions that there are multiple weapons and upgrades, so that's something else to look forward to. If you weren't sold just yet, the game is also able to be played in 2-player co-op. Neon Inferno feels like the game you would find in an arcade, pop in a few quarters and enjoy an afternoon with your best buds trying to see how far you can get. If you're a fan of classic arcade style side-scroller shooters or run-and-gun games, definitely give this one a try. Number 18. Bad Cheese. Developed by Simon Lukasik, Bad Cheese is a first-person psychological horror with eerily familiar cartoony graphics. Play as Mousy and complete chores around the house of your dysfunctional family. Mop up the floor, squash meddlesome bugs, but most importantly, make sure to bring Daddy his medicine. You don't want to get punished. Bad Cheese takes a relatively harmless cartoon about a relatively harmless mouse, and then turns it upside down, infuses it with nightmarish horrors and trauma, and wraps it in an eerily old-school animation charm. And that combination works wonders. That 1920s animation style fits the weird horrendous house and its denizens. Everyone and everything in this game looks creepy, and I love it. Whoever did the graphics and animations did a phenomenal job. The atmosphere of this house is absolutely chilling, and it always feels like there's something watching you just outside of your point of view, which is terrifying because you want to explore the house and find collectibles, or in some cases Easter eggs. There's a lot to discover, but you're always just a bit too nervous to move and open a door. But that could just be a me problem. I'm a bit of a chicken when it comes to horror games. Gameplay wise, it seems fairly straightforward in the demo. You need to complete objectives in order to move through the house and progress. Once again, this simplicity is perfect because it gives you more time to take in the environment of the house. If you like horror games with jump scares, or weird creepy cartoons, or the enemy designs in The Binding of Isaac, you should check this game out. Number 17. Freaked Fleapit. Developed by Finch Bird Studio, Freaked Fleapit is a roguelike rhythm game with some dating sim elements to it. You play as Andy, who has died unexpectedly. In order to appeal his case and be brought back to life, he must fight his way out of the 9 circles of hell. But thankfully, you're not alone. Enlist the aid of otherworldly waifus to help you regain your eternal soul, all while keeping to the beat. This game is a mix of Crypto the Necrodancer and dating sims like Monster Prom. The gameplay is practically identical to Crypt of the Necrodancer. You move around and defeat enemies while keeping in time to the music. It can be challenging to get used to the timing if you're not familiar. The dating sim component comes in the form of little quests in between runs. It can be a little saucy, but if you play Monster Prom or similar games, then you know what to expect. The character portraits and the voiceover work are both fantastic. Each character has a distinct look and their personality really comes through in their voices. Also, the portraits you see in the video are the safe for work version. The game does have a not safe for work mode featuring more adult portraits for those who want a little bit of extra spice in their life. But for me, the highlight of this game is its soundtrack. A rhythm game will live or die by its soundtrack, and Freaked Fleapits is quite frankly awesome. The track for the first level is a certified banger. I'm not cool enough to know what genre of music this is, all I know is that I want more of it. If anyone can point me to the genre or an artist with this sound, please let me know in the comments. If you're looking for an interesting take on the rhythm genre, or a game similar to Crypt of the Necrodancer, then give this one a shot. If you enjoy dating sims, then you might like this one as well. Number 16. Time-Breaking Dino Breach. Developed by Digitally Arts, Time-Breaking Dino Breach is an isometric survival horror where you save your missing research team and lover from dinosaurs. Scientists have found a way to create a portal that transcends time and connects to the age of the dinosaurs. Harnessing the power of these portals, humanity was making unparalleled advances in science and technology. But in a twist of fate, researchers get trapped in the past while dinosaurs breach the present. Play as Kate Young as she fights back against these fearsome foes and saves her allies trapped through time. This game is heavily inspired by Dino Crisis, but remade for the modern era. From the menu sounds to the gunplay to even the healing mechanics, you can tell the devs had a lot of love for the OG game. One thing I did like about the demo is that it really does feel like I'm playing an updated version of Dino Crisis. Graphically, the environment looked great, and at times you can hear the dinos shuffling around. Aiming was a little tough, but if you play the original Resident Evil, you'll get refamiliarized quickly. I am very interested in the story, and think it would be fun to play with Kate in the past. They didn't have that in the demo, but the store description highlights more of the time travel aspect. If you're anxiously awaiting a sequel to Dino Crisis, or like their old Resident Evil style horror games, definitely give Time-Breaking Dino Breach a try. Number 15. Lords of Ravage. Developed by Synthetic Domain, Lords of Ravage is a turn-based strategy battler where you play as the final boss. You think that the current king is too soft, so you decide to remove him from power, permanently. Expand your empire with your army of Dread Knights by recruiting other factions and acquiring powerful artifacts, all while defending yourself against treasonous charges. This game is like a mix between Octopath Traveler, Valkyrie Profile Lilith, and Shining Force. First off, Lords of Ravage is absolutely stunning. The characters are these beautiful 2D sprites against 3D environments, and they all have so much detail, especially your commander character. He practically oozes final boss energy. Combat in this game is strategic and incredibly satisfying. It's a balancing act between managing action points, character abilities, and death bonuses. Your units will surely die, but that itself is a mechanic. You can also level up and recruit more units to amass your dark army. In between battles, you explore the region via a map which has various nodes and points of interest. As you investigate these areas, you will usually be given a choice, and your answer will determine what type of reward you receive. I thought this was an interesting way to get you from point A to point B while still allowing you to both increase in power and progress the main story. Speaking of, the story itself is pretty entertaining. I mean, who doesn't want to sometimes play as a final boss and wreak havoc across the land? If you want to play a game where you are the big bad, or you like turn-based strategy games, try this one out. If you are a fan of the art style of Octopath Traveler, then take a look at this one too. The gameplay is solid and may leave you hooked. Number 14. Altered Alma. Developed by Too Awesome Studio, Altered Alma is a Metroidvania with RPG and dating sim elements. Play as Jack, an ex-Crusader enforcer who is on the run from her previous organization. Traverse New Barcelona to recruit crewmates, beat up bad guys, and find love as you fight your way to freedom. Altered Alma feels like your classic Metroidvania, but with slight Mega Man tendencies. You gain abilities that help you traverse the world, which leads to more power-ups, you get the drill. But there are a few things Altered Alma does that I thought were pretty neat. Once again, I was immediately drawn to this game due to the art style. Maybe I just have a weakness for games that draw character portraits for their dialogue windows, but I thought that Altered Alma's character designs were pretty great. They all had this cyberpunk edge to them with highlights on all their augments and implants. It isn't just the character portraits that look great, but the in-game sprites are equally well done. Jack moves with attitude and the attack animations look heavy hitting. But for me, the highlight of this game is its gameplay. The power-ups you get are incredibly fun, and the demo left me hooked hoping for more. There are also so many interesting mechanics, and chaining things together is a blast. You can parry enemy attacks, dodge roll, equip augments that give you special passive, insta-kill enemies with cool animations, or even gain the equivalent of ultimate attacks. The demo caps off with a duel of a boss fight, and I had such a good time using all my abilities. I mentioned that this game had dating sim elements, and they are present in the demo, but not fully fleshed out. It looks like through conversations you can get to know your crewmates, which could lead to romance. Romancing characters is always fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops, and what the other characters will be like. If you want a story-driven, action-filled Metroidvania, or just like Metroidvanias in general, then take a look at Altered Alma. Number 13. Netherworld Covenant. Developed by Mad Goat Game Studio, Netherworld Covenant is an isometric, roguelite action RPG with a focus on precision combat. After surviving a catastrophic loss in a battle against demons, you awaken to find yourself surrounded by the corpses of your allies. Using the power of the Nether Lantern, summon the souls of your companions to fight against the fiends of the abyss and avenge their deaths. Netherworld Covenant plays like Hades with a sprinkling of Diablo mixed in. The combat is fast-paced, but full of depth and strategy. There are times when you won't be able to just button mash your way to victory. That's when you'll need to make use of your spectral allies. There are a large number of allies to play with in the demo, and each one confers a special ability to your character. You can equip 2 allies at the moment, so there's plenty of room to mix and match. It plays similar to Hades, where you clear a room, choose a reward for the next room, and continue on. There are also a lot of passive skills and weapons you can unlock, so progression feels earned and worthwhile. I am a little bit concerned with the use of generative AI in the opening sequence and store page though, which is strange to me because the artwork within the game itself looks really good. As far as the game itself though, it's a ton of fun. Summoning your ghost friends in combination with your own combat prowess allows you to make some sick looking combos. And who doesn't like feeling super badass when they're playing a game? If you enjoy fluid combat with a hint of strategy and move selection, or enjoy the gameplay of Hades, you should take a look at this game. Number 12. The Demons Told Me to Make This Game. Developed by Haunted Dude, The Demons Told Me to Make This Game is a narrative RPG filled with dark mysteries and difficult choices. You're a dark wisp who wakes up in the void and finds himself stuck in a time loop. The only way you can interact with the world around you is by possessing people and influencing their actions. Investigate your surroundings, survive dangerous encounters, reset time, and unravel the mystery plaguing the town of Red Hives. How do I even begin to describe The Demons Told Me to Make This Game? It is truly unlike any game I've ever played before, and the store description did not quite prepare me for what I was about to experience. TDTMTG reminds me a bit of Disco Elysium, but with a heavy Lovecraftian influence. At its core, this game is a visual novel with a compelling story and well-written characters. The choices you make feel like they matter and sometimes have an immediate impact. It also has a great use of a time loop mechanic. By experiencing the story and events, you can retain that knowledge and use that information for the next loop. Plus, the art style in this game is pretty top-notch. I guess I really am a sucker for full character portraits, but the 2 main characters have a lot of detail to them. Their expressions change, their outfits get updated, they just feel alive. But maybe it's because we're playing the voice that whispers in their ears and I want to keep them alive? If you enjoy Disco Elysium or heavy narrative games like As Dusk Falls, you should try out The Demons Told Me to Make This Game. If you like visual novels or like games with heavy Lovecraftian themes and creatures, then definitely give this one a try. Number 11. Into the Grid. Developed by Flatline Studio, Into the Grid is a roguelike deck builder with a heavy focus on strategic map routing. Become a master hacker and traverse cyberspace along the grid in order to fight evil megacorporations. Build and upgrade your deck, unlock powerful new skills, and carefully plan your path along the grid in order to save your daughter. If you've ever played the board game Android and its spin-off card game Netrunner, then Into the Grid will feel a bit familiar to you in theme. No doubt there are a lot of roguelike deck builders out there, but Into the Grid is so unique that it truly stands out. The card battles have a ton of mechanics to them, so even those hardcore TCG fans should be pleased. Play cards to build with your Vim, which is basically your special meter, and then unleash powerful commands to change the tide of battle. The card art is fantastic, the effects are impressive, and the speed is perfect. Sometimes card battlers have a tendency to play slow, which can drag a bit since you're in the battle so often. but by far the highlight of Into the Grid is the map navigation. Not only is your card selection important, but the order in which you move along the grid is critical to your success. The grid is made up of nodes, and each node has a certain activity associated with it. By unlocking or accessing certain nodes at certain times, you can make your run more difficult or breeze on through. Into the Grid does a fantastic job of capturing the feel of being a hacker and navigating through a stylized digital landscape. If you did play the board game Android or Netrunner, definitely try this out to recapture that feeling. If you like roguelike deck builders, do not sleep on this one. Kicking off the top 10 at number 10 is Cairn. Developed by the Game Bakers, Cairn is a 3D, cel-shaded, mountain climbing survival adventure game. Play as Ava and hone your skills to challenge and climb one of the most deadly mountains in the world. Plan your route, forage and manage your supplies, and keep your wits about you as you ascend this unforgiving behemoth. Cairn is like QWOP on steroids with some resource management mixed in. At first I was honestly a little put off the demo as soon as Ava started climbing the first tutorial wall. I thought the leg movements were janky and out of place and could maybe use a bit more work. But as I kept going and paid more attention, I quickly realized that those animations were actually pretty amazing. Seeing Ava stretch out and reach for a faraway ledge, or delicately place her foot in a foothold, or even shake loose her hands when she recovers stamina really sells how tough and desperate climbing can be. Mountaineers probably have to stretch and contort themselves to reach safe spots sometimes. And what I was seeing wasn't just jank for jankiness sake, but was actually the devs showing their work. By the time I hit the third tutorial wall, I was hooked. The game was stuck into my soul like pitons on the mountainside. And then once you leave the tutorial area and enter the beginning of the game proper, I was sold. You're treated to this gorgeous shot of a huge mountain, and you just want to climb it. But now there are no handholds or clearly marked footrests. It's up to you to plot and plan the best way to climb. I think I would have been satisfied with just a game about mountain climbing. But the devs went the extra mile and added so many additional mechanics like foraging, cooking, and managing a few other resources to fill and round out the game. I've honestly never played a game quite like this, but can't wait to see the final product. If you like games with a focus on exploration, or the feeling of excitement when you peek over the next ledge, then definitely check this game out. Number 9. Shuffle Tactics. Developed by Club Sandwich, Shuffle Tactics is a roguelike, deck-building, tactical RPG where you command animal creatures with powerful abilities. Defend your kingdom from the Glimmer Curse by strategizing, playing to your character's strengths, and synergizing with your allies. Build the perfect deck, bond with your teammates, and overthrow the evil threatening your land. Shuffle Tactics is a healthy blend of Final Fantasy Tactics and Slay the Spire. Gameplay-wise, this is a card-based tactical RPG where you move freely along a grid and use your cards to perform attacks. You have a set amount of movement and action points, so strategy is key. I love the art style of the characters and cards in this game. Even though it's minimal in both cases, there are a lot of details present. The main hero's cape bellows in the wind, the card art manages to convey their moves well, and when you defeat an enemy, there's a stylish finisher that plays. The card play is fast, so you're never just waiting for something to play out. As you progress in your run, you'll get to add hirelings to your party, which allows you to synergize your abilities. You'll also encounter various events that are guaranteed to shake up your run. The demo was a ton of fun, and it felt like it barely scratched the surface in terms of in-game content. The store listing mentions that there are more heroes, extra sidekicks, hundreds of cards, the works. So if you enjoy tactical RPGs or just like roguelike card battlers, be sure to give this game a try. Number 8. Ovis Loop. Developed by Leaffuel, Ovis Loop is an action-adventure roguelite with skill in loadout building. Play as a sheep armed with cybernetic enhancements and a massive greatsword, and defeat the wolves in order to unlock the mystery behind the world. Select and augment your skills to create a build that fits your playstyle as you defeat your enemies. Ovis Loop combines a lot of the best parts of Hades, Dead Cells, and Slay the Spire. By far the highlight of this game is the combat gameplay. It's fluid, it moves quickly, and all around just feels great. The animations are top notch, and a lot of the skills show off just how much work the devs put into them. Chaining your skills together is satisfying and leads to some fun and impressive combos. Additionally, you can augment your skills and weapons, giving them even more powers and features. I haven't seen too many games where the skills perform a different action while it's on cooldown. That just goes to show you how offensively based the combat is in this game. As is the trend, progressing through a run means selecting rooms and events to experience. leading to a custom run and replayability. There are a ton of relics and enhancements to find, so enjoy making your characters as overpowered as you possibly can. Story-wise, I am very interested to know what's going on with Omega the Sheep and Dr. Wolf. The demo leaves things vague enough to be compelling, and I am looking forward to exploring the wasteland. If you're into high-action games with flashy skills and roguelike progression, be sure to check out Ovis Loop. Number 7. Sojourn Past. Developed by Redimension, Sojourn Past is an action-adventure game with a heavy focus on exploration and discovery. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, dodge, and displace yourself as you fight on your journey through a world full of enchantment and mystery. Uncover secrets, battle bosses, master teleportation, and more as you undertake an emotional journey. Sojourn Past reminds me of Children of Morta, but has the feeling of exploration and adventure that Tunic had. By making use of a teleporting dagger, you can reach faraway spots and get a jump on enemies. Teleporting is a ton of fun, but it is a bit tricky to nail the controls in the beginning. As you traverse the world, there are plenty of secrets and hidden areas to find. This usually means solving a quick combat challenge, completing a short puzzle, or navigating to an out-of-the-way area. Pick up your item and it gets added to your collection screen, which is one of the more unique ones I've seen. One thing that makes this game stand out a bit over others is the focus on bullet hell sections. There are some puzzles and boss fights that feature a massive amount of projectiles, so you better have your finger on the dodge button. If you're looking for a game that is heavy on exploration, or feel the urge to explore every nook and cranny of a map, or uncover all 100% of a game's collectibles, then give this one a try. Number 6. Lovish. Developed by Labs Works, Lovish is an 8-bit action-adventure precision platformer featuring micro-sized rooms. Play as Sir Solomon, who is on a quest with his faithful party to rescue the princess from the Demon Lord's castle. Defeat enemies, collect valuable treasure, find secrets, and encounter random events in this bite-sized adventure. Lovish looks like the Mega Man games on the NES, but plays more like Battle Block Theater within a WarioWare minigame. I know that's a long-winded comparison, but it honestly feels the most accurate. Each level in the castle is a small room, and your goal is to reach the door. You may have to collect keys, dodge traps, or defeat enemies in order to accomplish that mission. It's great because each level is quick enough that you start getting that one more level feeling. The platforming is tight, and the puzzles in the demo were not too difficult, but you can see how the difficulty can ramp up later. It also looks like each level has a secret item to discover, so the collectionist in me was satisfied to see that. If you fail the level, restarting is quick so you can get right back to the action. One of the most fun parts of this game, though, is the random event that occurs after you beat a level. When you clear a level, you get a short cutscene that shows an event that the party encounters. They are weird, zany, random, but hilarious, and can even give you some kind of reward. One encounter gave me a ring that allowed me to attack upwards. It's such a fun little detail to add that mixes up your runs, and it makes me want to discover more of them. If you're looking for a fun platformer, or have nostalgia hitting you hard, and you want to enjoy a classic feeling game, check out Lovish. Breaking into the top 5, at number 5, The Crazy Hyper Dungeon Chronicles. Developed by Fix-A-Bug, The Crazy Hyper Dungeon Chronicles is a 2D dungeon crawler with turn-based combat and roguelite elements. Play as either hero or heroine and delve deep into a peculiar, ever-changing dungeon in search of a secret treasure that your king wants. Avoid deadly traps, collect scrap and materials, cook yourself hearty meals, and overcome fearsome foes in this odd dungeon crawling adventure. This game feels like you're playing a classic D&D game on NES or Game Boy Advance, but with humor and meta commentary turned up to 11. The Crazy Hyper Dungeon Chronicles was one of the earliest games I played, but it has consistently remained within my top 5 the entire time. I absolutely love this game. From the moment you boot up the game and get past the intro dialogue, and get to the hero selection screen, you can tell that the developers had a ton of fun making this. Once you select a hero, you choose your starting weapon between a spear, sword, or mace. Each one offers different combat bonuses and drawbacks, so you can experiment with which one you like the best. Afterwards, you select a playstyle, and I thought this was really cool. Depending on your selected playstyle, your gameplay experience will completely change. For instance, there's one playstyle that lets you experience extra dialogue, and you can avoid some combat encounters by talking. I'm kind of a completionist, so I went with the one that boosts XP gains from everything and grants bonus inventory slots. Your goal is to get to the bottom of the dungeon, and to do that you have to get to the staircases on each floor. However, there are so many mechanics and details that I won't be able to get to all of them. There's crafting, cooking, inventory management, hunger and water management, lore books to discover, and so much more. Exploring each floor of the dungeon is a ton of fun, and I kept wanting to press forward to the next one. This game is also full of meta humor, and the characters constantly quip at each other. The demo is quite long, and the game pokes fun at just how many tutorials it throws at you. It also has one of the most original combat mechanics I have ever seen. Your character stands in the center square of a grid, and you have to manually face the enemy you want to attack or block. Then there is a short quick time event where you can potentially crit an enemy, or avoid damage altogether. It's just incredibly well done. I could probably talk for an hour about this game, but in the interest of time, I'll move it right along. If you're looking for a more traditional style dungeon crawler, or games with a lot of mechanics and variety, or enjoy managing skills and inventory as much as the gameplay itself, definitely check out the Crazy Hyper Dungeon Chronicles. Number 4. Bittersweet Birthday. Developed by World Eater Games, Bittersweet Birthday is a heartfelt, story-driven action RPG that combines Souls-like dodge rolls with bullet hell chaos. Play as Flash, who wakes up with no memories in a strange room. Guided by a voice, you embark on a journey to recover your memories. Complete quests, collect your memories, and experience a gripping story while overcoming difficult boss fights. Bittersweet Birthday reminds me a little bit of Undertale mixed with bullet hell games, but with the dodge button. There are a lot of things to like about this game, but by far the most riveting thing is its story. It's just wow. Without going into too much detail, let's just say the story gets into some pretty heavy topics. It touches on themes of loss, overbearing responsibility, and real childlike fear. I certainly didn't expect it going into this game, but now I am practically dying to know how this one ends. Bittersweet Birthday also has an interesting case of gameplay and story integration. Recovering your memories gives you new passive abilities that can either help you run or instill self-imposed challenges. The characters you meet throughout the game are endearing and memorable. In the demo there's only a handful, but they are bursting with personality. Combat is both engaging and strategic. You have a quick attack and a heavy attack. If you manage to time your heavy attacks properly, you'll interrupt enemies and stun them for a few seconds. Your primary means of defense is a dodge roll. All of your attacks take stamina, so you'll need to manage your attack and defense. This sounds simple, but the game really doesn't slouch when it comes to its boss fights. The bullet hell components come out in full force, and you'll be struggling at times to manage your stamina. Bittersweet Birthday has a lot of things going for it, and I'm incredibly stoked to play more. If you like narrative games with a focus on emotional themes, or games with memorable characters and engaging boss fights, then you should look more into Bittersweet Birthday. Before we get to the top 3 games, I want to briefly talk about Indie Assemble. There were over 1,000 games being showcased, with hundreds of demos available to try, so there was just no way I could play them all. Instead, I was able to play about 40 games, a significantly smaller subset, so I'm basing my top 20 off of that. All this is just to say there are still a vast amount of games I was unable to get to. There are so many games I wanted to play, but time was a heavy factor. After scrolling through the main page a few times, my original playlist was over 80 games. I knew immediately that I had to trim it down, and finally have been able to reduce it to a short list of 40 games. To really experience how incredible Indie Assemble was, you should check out the Steam page yourself and try as many demos as you can. I'll put a link in the description. People are making some truly unique and amazing games. Make sure you try a few out. At number 3, Flesh Made Fear. Developed by Tainted Pack, Flesh Made Fear is a 3D survival horror with low poly models and a tank control scheme. A once respected doctor escapes with classified medical research and uses small town residents as test subjects. You and your team of special agents must hunt him down and stop him. Survive nightmarish creatures that have been twisted by experiments, solve intricate puzzles to unbar your path, and stop a mad scientist bent on progressing his research at any cost. If this sounds familiar to you, well, that's because it is. This game is a dear and respectable love letter to the original Resident Evil trilogy. I found the story in the demo to be absolutely compelling. I genuinely want to see how this resolves and anxiously want to encounter Dr. Ripper. Gameplay wise, it brings you right back to the late 90s. You play as a member of a special government task force whose mission is to track down the mad Dr. Ripper. In the demo there's only one character available, but the store page mentions that 2 will be playable on release. Moving your character relies on good old tank controls. It took some time getting used to them and reorienting myself again, but it felt oddly satisfying. As you explore the town of Rotwood, you'll find files and collectibles that tell you more of the backstory. Aiming your gun requires you to adjust the horizontal and vertical trajectory of your character. You'll have to solve puzzles in order to progress throughout the town. It all just feels good. From the fixed camera angles to the tank controls to the purposefully cheesy dialogue, it's very clear that Flesh Made Fear takes inspiration from the legendary franchise. This game just hits my nostalgia. I got Resident Evil Director's Cut for the PlayStation 1 as a Christmas gift, and later in the day I went to my cousin's house and we played it. I think that RE1 was the first game to genuinely terrify me. That first cutscene that introduces the zombies, I'm pretty sure that haunted a generation of gamers. With today's advancements in gaming technology, the original RE series doesn't quite hit the same if you haven't played it. Newer gamers can play it and properly appreciate it, but I don't think it'll scare or terrify them as much. It was one of those you had to be there to experience it at the peak of the zeitgeist. Of course, there is no way to completely recapture that feeling of playing Resident Evil for the first time, but Flesh Made Fear comes very close. If you're an old head who wants to play a game that pays homage to a legendary franchise, and does a great job at staying true to those roots while adding in its own twists, then you owe it to yourself to check this one out. If you're someone who missed playing Resident Evil when it first came out, and want to experience what that time felt like, but with a new game, or if you're just a fan of survival horror games and want to play something that feels like a classic, then check out Flesh Made Fear. Number 2. Leftovers KO. Developed by Mountain Man Animation, Leftovers KO is a hand-drawn, animated fighting game where you fight your leftovers. After leaving your job for the day, you arrive home only to realize you forgot to pick up takeout for dinner. You open your fridge hoping to find some tasty leftovers, only to find that they gain sentience and are angry. Avoid eating knuckle sandwiches and fight back against your moldy leftovers. Leftovers KO is like Punch-Out, but with the animation of Pizza Tower. The visual direction of this game is absolutely incredible. The art is perfect Saturday morning cartoon style graphics that's complemented by the fluid animations of the characters. The bosses are drawn with a ton of detail, but still maintain this odd and creepy factor. Even the menu is stylish, especially the options to select a language. I just found this to be exceedingly clever and fits the theme of the game perfectly well. But of course, what sold me on this game immediately was the gameplay. It plays very similar to the Punch-Out series, which is a great thing. The controls are simple, but the boss fights are challenging at first. You really need to take a second to learn the boss tells. The demo features 2 boss fights, a hard-hitting, sloppily arranged burger, and a moldy but speedy cabbage roll. It took me some time to get through them both, but then again, I am old and cold nowadays. You'll probably fare much better than I did. Overall, the wacky story, the zany art style, and the tough boss fights really worked for me. I'm making to play this one some more, and want to see what other old and expired food I can throw hands with. It took me so long to make this video that Leftovers KO is actually out already, so I may go grab it soon. If you like the Punch-Out series, make sure you try this demo. This game should be right up your alley. Okay. I promise I'm not just some old gamer who has his nostalgia glasses on and is longing for the golden age of gaming. And you'll see that with my number 1 game from India Symbol that I played. Finally, at number 1, Still in the Fading World. Developed by Ice Crack Games, Still in the Fading World is an action RPG, quote, MMO game, where you save the world from the oncoming darkness. The Queen resurrects the warrior Syl from eternal darkness, and calls upon them to save everything. Face MMO raid bosses, obtain powerful weapons and gear, enhance your skills through progression and class specialization, and uncover your mysterious past while saving your world. Still in the Fading World plays like an honest-to-goodness MMO, but in single-player mode. From the UI, to the HUD, to the overworld quests, it feels like you're playing on your own private server. I mean, it comes with a damage meter right out of the box. At the start of the game, you select your character class. When I played the demo, there was just the warrior class, but I believe another has been released in an update. After that, you're thrown into the world. And what a stunningly beautiful world it is. The environment reminded me of Teldrassil and WoW, with the focus on blues and purples. In terms of the characters themselves, the player and NPCs all have gorgeous portraits, chock full of detail. The gameplay in Still in the Fading World is just out of this world. Even though it looks and plays like a single-player MMO, the world feels so vast and populated. There's always NPCs at a camp with a quest for you to do, or enemies to fight, or dungeons to clear. There are so many ways to customize and level up your character that it's borderline overwhelming. You can get new skills or improve your existing ones through wide branching talent trees. Destiny points allow you to change and manage character passives. There's gear and relic slots. Just so many ways to progress and increase your power. There's nothing quite like that feeling of hitting a new level, unlocking an ability, and seeing it fill out your action bar. And the combat feels so crisp. The animations are fluid and the skills are exciting to use. Even though you eventually fall into a pattern, it avoids being boring or too repetitive due to the sheer amount of things to keep track of. You're constantly watching your ability timers, maneuvering around the battlefield, and making sure you're within range for your attacks. But you better be paying attention because the enemies will not stop their relentless assault. I mean, the final boss fight alone was so intense but so incredibly satisfying to beat. It had virtually every single MMO trope you could imagine thrown into it. Managing your cooldowns, avoiding projectiles and drop zones, multiple boss phases, staying out of lava, just everything in the kitchen sink. But I had so much fun during the fight that I was genuinely disappointed that it was over. I'm really high up on this game and cannot wait for its release. If you're into MMOs but just don't have the time for them, or want a fun action RPG with deep skill and progression systems, you should definitely check out Still in the Fading World. And that's it. Thanks for watching my video on the top 20 games I played from Indie Assemble. As I constantly mention, this is just a tiny fraction of the games that are available, and you should do yourself a favor and check out the event page. Browse the page, check out a few games, and try a ton of demos. Who knows, you may find your next favorite game. Thank you for watching, and good luck on all your future runs.